Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2021-2022 opening of the law year. In terms of housekeeping, I ask that everyone turn their phones off to make sure it doesn't disrupt the ceremony. I welcome Far Northern Judge of the Supreme Court, the Honourable Justice Henry, District Court Judges, His Honour Judge Morzone QC, and Her Honour Judge Fantin. I also welcome magistrates Pinder, Spencer, Pearson, Payne, McLennan, Brown and Morton, and retired magistrate Black. I also welcome Coroner Wilson, Commissioner Kazak Mazar, Regional Director of the North Queensland Court Services Rob White, Acting Regional Director Stephen Tillett, Deputy Mayor Terry James, Member for the Cairns and Assistant Minister of Tourism Industry Development Michael Healy, members of the profession, registrars and court staff. I begin this morning by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. They are the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people. I acknowledge that they are the traditional lawmakers and caretakers of this country. And I pay respects to their elders, some of whom we have the pleasure of their presence here today. They're old people who have passed, but are never forgotten, and the elders of our future. My name is Malia Ben. I'm a proud Mamu Gunganji woman, born and raised here in Cairns, and I'm a barrister who practices locally. As a small Aboriginal girl growing up here in Cairns, with a desire one day to become a lawyer, I never saw myself in the people who administer justice. I only saw it from the side no one wants to see it. And in fact, as a 33-year-old woman standing before you here today, and in my third year of practicing at the bar, I am still one of only 2 First Nations women practicing at the private bar here in Queensland. And now I look around and I see Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here in front of me as magistrates, commissioners, lawyers, students, and in other roles, very important roles, all playing their part in the administration of justice and walking in 2 worlds. It is clear that First Nation practitioner numbers are on the rise, and events like today are important for our young ones to see what they can be. And as the great Paul Kelly, who serendipitously happened to be touring here over the weekend, said in his song that he co-wrote with the legend Kev Carmody, "From little things, big things grow." This event is historic. It is the first of its kind, at least here in Queensland. It is the first time, including the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people, as the traditional owners in the annual ceremony. And Far North Queensland, I apologise, in my humble opinion, is leading the way. This new way is not only a representation of inclusion, but a removal of barriers in this ceremony of coming together in the law. With that being said, I now invite Gujul Gujul to conduct the welcome to country.
Bilanggaran jundu na bimbi, bilanggaran jundu na yiri nyalan. Jino jabo, jina nyinan, na yu yawanji. I welcome you here on behalf of my father and the Gimuy elders, and the land that you stand and sit on is Gimuy Walubara Yidinji land. Gairagalan Yundu, may God's peace be with you. It has been a long custom and tradition for the Yidinji to welcome people with open hearts and open arms. Literally, Yidinji would embrace their visitors and lift them in the air as a mark of respect and as an act of peace. Today, I would like to offer the same welcome, but in spirit, to all men and women here today. Indeed, the intentions of the Yidinji nation is that of universal peace and perpetual amity. For it is also written in the Holy Scriptures in the book of Leviticus, "And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself." To all men and women here today who are not familiar with the Yidinji territory, we welcome you and offer you a welcome and a most sacred gift, the gift of law from the highest. The Yidinji nation's customs and tradition may be foreign to the Commonwealth of Australia, but rest assured, the Yidinji society is here to defend the faith, and the Yidinji government has been created to protect the Commonwealth of Australia, to help settle the past and secure the future for all upon our territory. On a personal level, it is timely to acknowledge honourable officers, office holders in both the Commonwealth and Yidinji realm, in particularly the Honourable Justice Henry of the Supreme Court and other distinguished officials, and the Honourable Ministers from the Sovereign Yidinji Government that have appeared in their true and correct capacities. It is vital that the rule of law be upheld. I must remind the world that the Yidinji nation is here to protect the Commonwealth of Australia and Queensland of Australia, its parliaments, its courts, and that is to say, we encourage all officials to respect the limitations the Australian Constitution places on its citizens and judiciary. Whilst it is great to see the Commonwealth of Australia uphold some of its obligations under international law, more needs to be done to truly make the Commonwealth of Australia a global leader with respect to the interactions within the original Indigenous nations upon whose territories the Commonwealth settled. It is with the help of those original Indigenous nations, such as the Yidinji, that the Commonwealth of Australia can achieve such a lofty goal. We now truly hope from this day forward for the next year, the 2021-2022 legal year, that the Commonwealth of Australia and its judiciary receive the blessings of consent in good faith from the Yidinji nation, and that sphere of coexisting sovereignties be respected and upheld and pushed towards a common goal through a formal agreement. Your Excellencies, go well, and may Gaibara protect you every step on Yidinji land. Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning, one. My name's Hendrik Formile, and from the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji clan of Cairns. Today we are doing a smoking ceremony, and it's passed out to thousands of years. The reason why we do it is to bring the good energy in and take the bad energy away. And while we're doing it here, the smoking is part of a cleansing as well. So we are cleansing the area that we are gathered here today, and hope to bring a prosperous year for everyone here who's gathered here today. So I'd like to say thank you. And when I do the smoking, I will be passing through the warriors and all the magistrates that are gathered here as well. So, and if you feel that you want to get up and get the smoke and put it on, rub it on yourself, by all means, do it. Thank you.
Wagaja, wagaja, bunjan, 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 bunje. Wagaja, 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 bunjan, 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 ji.
Ngay pa, marbayeng o bon ba? Kuman kawal ngale, yengongo. Ano ba? Kawal ngale, kur, kur, kur. Oh. Kur, i. Kur, i. Yay! Yeah, what? So what I got in my hand here, this was the law of these people and on the other. Now you have to just run the staff on the beach of Java and put the cross in. This is our rule. Kalau nga Jamabalam is gonna just hold the law scepter, and we will do a bit of explanation about this subject and this item of significance. This law scepter or jibba was created for Yidinji customary and cultural traditional law. So we'll start from the top. The top represents Bundajarga, which is Mount Pyramid or Walsh's Pyramid to the south of us here where we are today. And on the four sides underneath the pyramid, we have the diamonds that represent north, south, east, and west. Where Uncle Jamabalam's hands are now, this represents the four elements of our world that we exist in: earth, wind, fire, and water. The shield is next, and that protrudes just in front of the other signatures. And that represents protection of the family and customs. It also has the carving of the jambon, which is the scorpion, which relates to one of our stories to the north of Gimuy Walubara or Cairns City. On the bottom, we have our law spear with 8 protruding prongs. This one here, this yermba, has 8 because it represents the 8 clans of the Yidinji nation that make up our people and our lands and seas and airs where our law stands upon and within. This is held at the back where the backbone sits too as well, in the form of a club. Our shields that lay on the ground are one of the Jambuntu as well. The second sword was one of Kurbanna, one of our law moieties, or part of our law system. Our third sword, this is one of Kuruminya, which is a part of our moiety system and our law presence too as well. Our last item that was laid down with the shield is Balor, the law of the sea. And this is represented by the curved spear launcher. These items encompass our traditions, our songs, our language, our beliefs, our family bloodlines and ties to this country from Gimuy Walubara and its surrounds. We would like to acknowledge all the elders here today and our tribal neighbors too as well. Thank you. Ngayo pa marboye ngobul ma ngape ngale jana yengongo enyo ba ngape pa makata ngalga yengongo Gimuy Walubara yengongo ngande bama kadang ngalga yengongo japo jana yengongo dine bama murmo jana yengongo yengo wonjo balgal ngayo pa mundu kurinyala kana Penyudoba bila kata korenya kata kana kata yengongo enalan walaburi malwe kata ngalngai ngo japu kana kata ngayo pa dakol pa ma jananye ngongo nyondo pa binal ngale nyondo pa wawale ngongo
Professor Henrietta Mari AM is an elder of the Gimuy people and a key figure in making today happen. I invite her to the microphone for her address.
It should be okay. Yep, it should be fine. Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and I want to acknowledge everyone here today from all nations, and particularly the Yidinji nation. Coming together, the part that we as Gimuy Walubara Yidinji must take to honour the memory of our ancestors and to honour the memory of Yidinji warriors who have sacrificed, fought and died to preserve the integrity of our nation. I want to thank the Honourable Justice Henry for taking the historic initiatives to include the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people and nation to be part of this great English legal tradition, marking the opening of law year 21-22 at the Cairns Courthouse. I believe this is the first time that a First Nations people in Australia had ever been asked to participate in the opening of a law year, a tradition which had been carried out for centuries in England and continued since colonisation in Australia. A tradition which for the first time acknowledges and pays respect to the body of law and customs held by the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people on land. 145 years ago, in 1876, this land, our Jabberja, was invaded and settled by English colonisers. We remember the massacres, the stealing of our women and children, the removal of many of our people to newly established missions at Yarrabah and Palm Island, and the attempt to subjugate our laws, and still this land we stand on today is the land of the Walubara Yidinji nation, a fact recognised by the Federal Court of Australia on the 1st of April this year. 116 years ago, in 1905, my great-grandfather Yini, a great Nalan, a great leader and a great warrior of our people, was recognised by the colonial authorities and given a king plate, proclaiming him as King of Cairns. This, I believe, also gave recognition of his sovereign rights over this territory called Gimuy, known as Cairns. Land that was never ceded and will always remain Gimuy Walubara Yidinji land. Our customary law and Western law have coexisted in a somewhat unequal relationship effectively since 1876. We now need to strengthen and build on this to improve the relationships between the two laws. We continue to live and practice our system of laws by practicing the principles of what makes us Yidinji. The great land and seascapes surrounding us speaks to us and remind us who we are. They give us our laws and our customs. They remind us that we must not lose our connection to this, our Jabadja, that we need to strengthen the connection with our Gupi, our spirit dreamings that create our identity as Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people. Living our own culture according to our own traditions and laws in our own land. This is how we are connected to our country, to our language, to our culture, to our understanding of history and our sense of trust, our wholeness, and our relationships with each other. The power that we possess as Yidinji, as individuals and as families, that ability to work together, the unity that we continue to have is the foundation of everything for our people. It's our understanding of our relationship to nature, to our communication with the spirit world that is important to us. This is the path that we as Gimuy Walubara Yidinji must take to honour the memory of our ancestors and to honour the memory of our Yidinji lawmen and women who taught us our law. Much of our law has been fragmented through the premature loss, removal of our law people, our elders. However, we continue to practice our songlines, ceremonies and dances which connects us to Gimuy. Today marks a new chapter for Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people and First Nation people around Australia, where we will come together with the practitioners of the English legal tradition to walk together and participate in the work in progress of creating a just society free of racism and hate crimes. By working together, by walking the road together, we will work to achieve respect and equality for all. To have our laws coexist such that the two laws can better work together in strength, side by side, to mend and not repeat the wrongs and injustice of the past, for a better future to benefit us all. I thank you again for having our people to be part of this ceremony.
I now invite Honourable Justice Henry for his address on the law opening.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The magic of this ceremony is that it may carry varied meaning for each of you. To my mind, by this ceremony, we unite an ancient annual legal tradition of solemn reflection with an acknowledgement of those most anciently connected with this land and the lands within our jurisdictions. It is a coming together of each of those ancient elements, at once a ceremony of acknowledgement and of reflection. As to acknowledgement, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which this courthouse stands, the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people, and convey my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, their culture, customs and their LORE law. Of course, this is not the only land upon which our local judicial officers preside and local lawyers practice. Ours is a geographically enormous jurisdiction, stretching from Cardwell to the Cape and the islands of the Torres Strait, as far north as Saibai Island, only 4 kilometres from the Papua New Guinea mainland. It is thus appropriate on this occasion to also acknowledge the traditional owners of all of those lands and islands and convey my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I hope some of them will be observing this event by live stream or will in due course watch a recording of it. A hallmark of this ceremony is that it involves acknowledgement not only by word, but by deed. The act of inviting and implementing the participation of the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people in the conception and conduct of this ceremony. Critical to that simple gesture of inclusion was the generosity of spirit with which the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people reciprocated, making contributions that thread throughout this ceremony. For that, I sincerely thank them, including, in particular, Henrietta Marry AM, whose embrace of and vision for this event was of foundational importance. As to solemn reflection, this ceremony is an opportunity for judicial officers and practising lawyers to reflect upon and commit afresh to their noble joint mission in the year ahead of delivering justice according to law. Aside from oaths of allegiance, newly admitted lawyers and newly appointed judicial officers swear that they will abide by the highest standards of professional conduct. Shortly, a judicial officer and a lawyer will each publicly reaffirm those solemn promises in a representative capacity, reminding all judicial officers and all practising lawyers of their professional duty in the year ahead. I invite you all to reflect upon the importance and meaning of those oaths when they are read. In this moment, though, I emphasise that each oath carries an expectation of integrity. Not merely when it is easy to act with integrity, but also when it may be unpopular to do so. For practising lawyers, that means maintaining your professionalism on behalf of your client, regardless of the apparent popularity of your cause, outside or even within the courtroom. For judicial officers, that means remaining true to your obligation to decide cases on their merits, according to law, without fear or favour, regardless of the popularity of either party, their cause, or the likely popularity of your decision. As part of today's ceremony, a tree will shortly be planted. The link between the administration of justice and trees is not new. In various countries, there exists a tradition by which trees are planted outside courthouses to provide both a meeting point and shade for those awaiting justice. The tradition may have traces to Germanic tribal law. In the Holy Roman Empire, a Gerichtslinde, German for court linden, was a linden tree where assemblies and courts were held. Medieval legal judgments were made subtilia under the lime tree as an assurance of truth. Our tree, already nicknamed the law tree, will not be a linden tree, nor can it be the most apt tree, the Gimuy. Gimuy being the Yidinji name for the slippery blue fig. Unfortunately, such a tree would be too big for this space. So instead, it will be a Backhausia citrodora, better known as the lemon myrtle. It was chosen because of its particular significance to Indigenous people, including its use for fuel in smoking ceremonies, its use as a herbal tea, and its scent. It will hopefully flourish here, a worthy symbol commemorating this special event. Malia Ben will later move a vote of thanks, identifying those who've made today's ceremony a reality. I will not replicate that process now, save for two exceptions in closing. Firstly, I express my gratitude to the Department of Justice and Attorney General for the provision of funding to provide seating, shelter and other logistical support for today's ceremony. Secondly, and finally, on behalf of the organising committee, I thank those of you who have attended today in support of this coming together of ancient elements, lifting spirits and reinvigorating professional commitment as we embark upon the legal year ahead.
As His Honour Justice Henry has just mentioned, the next part of the ceremony this morning is the planting of the law tree. That'll be done by Gudju Gudju and Her Honour Judge Fantin. I now invite Butchulla Woman from the Watamana clan and First Nations first judicial appointment in Queensland, Magistrate Jackie Payne, for the recital of Oath of Office.
I acknowledge I am in the lands of the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people. I also acknowledge my welcome. I'm from the Butchulla Nation of Gari, Fraser Island, the Watamata clan. In the language of the Butchulla, Galangu Dubutpi, good morning. I, Jacqueline Payne, do sincerely promise and swear that in the office of magistrate, I will at all times and in all things do equal justice to all persons, and discharge the duties and responsibilities of the office according to law, to the best of my knowledge and ability, without fear, favour or affection.
I now invite Mulluranji man Richard Whitler, Principal of Whitler Hartley Lawyers, for his oath of admission.
I, Richard Whitler, do sincerely promise and affirm that I will truly and honestly conduct myself in the practice of a lawyer of this court, according to law, to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I now invite Karawai, Ms. Teresa Jua, and Gramalaban Hendrik Formile to declare the law year open.
Goran Borga. I'm Karawai, an elder of the Gimuy Walubara Yidinji people.
I'm Jamablam of Gimuy Walubara Yidinji.
Our law is Jili Budal Mujam Jabogayam Bindunga Mundo.
Looking after Mother Earth and living and spiritual things.
Banjanagal Bulalo law.
Follow elders and creating law.
Jili Budal Bama.
Care for our people.
Begnu Bulalo Bulpa.
Protect sacred sites and territories.
Dugal Balamban Naru Gorono.
Learn and pass on knowledge.
Binagal La Nyundo Boribori.
Listen to your old people.
We went Binagal La Gayambam Bando.
Give respect to all things.
I now declare the law year
open.
open.
Thank you everyone for coming. That concludes the event for this morning. But before I invite Murran Carl Formile up for the last time to conduct the closing kawal and the call out, there are a number of people that I would like for making this day happen. Thank you to all the participants in this morning's ceremony, particularly Gujul Gujul, Karawai Teresa Jewell, Jamalaman Hendrik Formile, Bumi, Peter Hyde, Munda Neville Rays, Gindaja Sean Diwa, and the men from the Minjul Cultural Ambassadors, Murankara Formile, Junjarul Richard, and Garana Jarman. I'd also like to thank the organising committee, Justice Henry, Judge Fantin, Magistrate Pinder, and two people who are not here, Mr Rod Curtin and Ms Leah Cameron. In addition to the committee, Stephen Tillett and Associate Hannah McNeil did the heavy lifting in terms of the logistics today, and I thank them for their contribution. I also extend my thanks to the ushers and Ms Lee Turner, who have been a part of making sure this morning runs as smoothly as it has. And lastly, I would like to thank Professor Henrietta Marianne, who has been a key figure in educating and embracing the court and the organising committee, contributing her ideas, having her family and her mob here involved in the event. We are grateful to you all.
Ngay peminjal bamayela jana ngale dakwal bamaye ngongo tebo kanji bamaye ngongo izin bamang ngay pa nyuto pa binang ngale ngayo walpuri nyakacing jite nyapel yingo japo yingo yapendai marpo ngay pa nalanye ngongo yinan ngale murmo ye ngongo kal ngaye ngongo mucem bimbi ngongo ngay apa ngay wawal nyundoba ngay walbal jujam ngongo ngay panganje kuman bam marboye ngo Gimuy Walubara ngaje ngayan murmo ngayan nganje mayan bama kana narangala kana kalin yengo bolba marpo Gimuy bara ngayo wawal yengo wako jay layenan ngale ngalan kajaba mayelo ngongo marbo yengo bolba yengo ngo ngocho yengo japo yengo ngongo yi. We'd like to thank for the invitation to you, Fla. Ngayo pa minjel pa makatangal ngayengongo. Ngayo pa ngaruanda warma yengo japo yengo yalangkunda. Yengo japo marbo ngayo pa izin pa ma. Eyon pa wawalengo binalgal ngayengo. Ngayo pa mukay jinakal ngayengo. Karo nyondo pa ngayo pa wawalengo kanana yengongo bulba marbo ngayo pa nganje pa mayengongo mayan pa majana yengongo murmo bama kana kata yengongo mutu kurinyala malwe marbo wallo puli nala jardan yengongo wo oh yay wo oh yay! Up! Yay! Yake kawalang ngale, ngalal kawalang ngongo. Yengongo. Ngayo pa, yedet pa ma. Dana yengongo. Gimuy bara yengongo. Kur. Oh!